Oh, introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, this was the one thing I probably should have practiced. I practiced where I went to school 100 times. Hi, my name is Margaret. I'm the owner and founder of Margo's Low Impact Health Club. I am a certified Group X instructor, a certified pre and postnatal trainer, and I've invented the method body design.
Very cool. What is that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's this fitness method where we take all of the information from the body, so the muscular system, the skeletal system, the fascia, all the soft tissues, and we fuse it all together to create a fitness method that actually supports your body and doesn't hurt it.
Ooh, really cool. Very nice. Where did you go to school?
I went to Montclair State University.
Nice.
Yeah, I got my bachelor's and then my master's in special ed.
Okay.
And I was a kindergarten teacher in my previous life.
Yeah. Nice. So then what kind of changed for you? When did you were you always doing fitness on the side? What was that journey like for you?
Yeah, so I had started teaching bar, which is kind of getting a resurgence right now, which is really exciting to see.
Yeah.
I started teaching bar in college. It's just a way to stay active. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about this the other day. I had started taking classes and I really just fell in love with the method. And I had no fitness experience and I just begged the owner for a good 3 weeks, I think, to teach me how to teach. She had just opened and it was the start of her journey. So it was really cool to see that entrepreneurial spirit fused with fitness.
Yeah.
So I had kind of a behind the scenes, begged her to teach me and take me under her wing. And from there, I just kind of went with it, always kept it in my back pocket. I think it's so important for women to just have a skill that they can capitalize on. So even though I was going to school to be a teacher, even though I was going to school to be a teacher, I just kind of once again, just kept it in my back pocket. I had moved in with my now husband, but boyfriend at the time. And it's a sin what they pay teachers. So as some side money, I started teaching at some different boutique studios. And from there, it just quickly became the best part of my day. I was teaching 14 hours on top of my full-time job. And I just didn't want to give it up.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of had an idea for not this, a different fitness business. And I said to my husband, let's do it. And he said, yeah. And so I kind of just pivoted and made that change just because it was my curiosity.
Very cool. So what was it that drew you to that job initially, that you wanted it so bad that you begged the owner for 3 weeks?
I'm embarrassed. It's literally I think just short of being on my knees begging. Just a small amount of my dignity left. I don't think there's a single thing I didn't like about it. The energy, the feeling. If I think back to that time in my life, it was a time where I was desperate for inspiration. You're in school, you're working really hard, you're doing things that you think will set you up, but at that young age, you kind of have no concept for what life is. And I think it was a space that I could go to that just felt good, healthy, as if I were making tangible changes in my life that I could see and feel positive results from. And I think I just wanted that all the time. And to me, that meant being that for other people. I think. Cool. I don't know. I mean, I'll go to therapy and I'll let you know. I got a deep dive into it.
It really is interesting, and we've heard so many stories where someone goes to college and they get a 9-to-5 job, and it's so interesting to me how those skills, even though you feel if you step away from them, you're I just wasted all this time, or I'm giving up on this, how those skills translate into something that you're meant to do. And it's
For
like,
sure.
and it's so nice to see because it's like you're really coming into like your true self, because that was just like a stepping stone for you. Like you needed to do that in order to like get to where you are today. And it's like
1000%.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a single day that goes by that I don't use my degrees. Like I could like literally like rattle off the list of how I used it this morning. Even just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like learning that in child development is part of like what went into our space here. And like when I look at like the training module that I like made for my other instructors, like I'm so grateful that I went through what I went through. You don't realize it at the time. And I think we can get so almost like single-minded or like, you know, like so
tunnel vision.
Yes, tunnel vision on just like the thing that we want, and we don't realize that like that winding road is really like what gets us to the destination, not just like the highway.
Definitely. And it's so nice that like even though like you might have not been in a spot where you wanted to like be eventually, like you stuck with it and you were doing it on the side. You were spending all of your extra time like putting effort towards this, and like all of that hard work has now led you to like being able to work for yourself and like owning your own fitness space. So it's like incredible to see that journey like from where you started to now. It's like it's probably so rewarding.
Yeah, I think that like our brains are funny, right? Like that tunnel vision, I think always kind of like gets in our own way. And I said this in our morning class. It's really hard to not move your starting line. Like every time you achieve something, you're always kind of like judging yourself based on that, like almost like that last success.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that you just said that to me, because I never even like really put it together. Like when you open your own business, I think there's so many woulda, shoulda, couldas. And you think about that and you're like, oh, like I should have done it this way, or why didn't I do it that way? And like, you're right. Like it's been a long time coming and it's been hard work, but all of that like goes into your story. And it's cool. I think it's just cool. Like there's no other word I can use.
Yeah. So like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, I was just gonna say you could do like all the research in the world, especially like for us. Like we're both kind of like the planning type. We don't like surprises, and like I think that's like really tough at being an entrepreneur. Is like part of it is like you have to accept that things change. They're not gonna go the way you want them to.
Or like even your timeline. You're like, oh, I want to like achieve this by this, you know, time in my life, and it's like you don't know like what your life is gonna throw at you.
Everything is just a projection. So like when I had first started deciding like, okay, do I really want to like open up a studio? Because that's a huge difference from in the fitness industry. A lot of us are like private contractors.
Okay.
Actually, like I'm really excited. The FTC just like passed a bill where like non-competes are like kind of like on the line, and that's huge for like this industry. It's really exciting.
Really?
So like instructors can't go to like other places and teach because it would be like against their non-compete for like a certain studio. So with that on the line, that's like really exciting for this specific industry.
Interesting.
It is. It's so interesting. There's like so much that goes into it that people don't like realize. But so as an instructor, the game is just different. Like you're hustling for yourself and you're trying to like kind of piece it all together. Whereas like when you open up a studio, just the focus is different. Like I'm sure similar to you guys with your businesses, like it's just a different energy when you're working for yourself versus working for someone else. And so like all of those projections have to be done. Like you have to write that business plan. You kind of have to put it all together. I did so much work, like years. Honestly, like I think I worked on my business plan for 5 years.
Oh.
I know. Also, like, is that like normal? I don't know. Like, I shouldn't have taken me that long. And so 5 years really working on this thing, knowing it in and out, etc. Doing the projections, running the numbers, hiring mentors, like going to banks, talking, like doing all of these things. And okay, like hit the ground running. We find a space, we do the thing, and like all the projections were wrong. Like so wrong. Like I can't even explain how wrong. Like it was 2 + 2 and the answer was fish. Like it was out there. And I look back and I'm like, if I would have known, or I would have done something different. And like part of it is like you kind of just have to have the guts to start and then figure it out. Like don't focus on making the perfect choice, but focus on making the choice perfect.
Yeah.
You know, and like doing what you have to do to kind of like cover your ass and like move forward. Oh, am I allowed to say ass?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a really interesting study on perfectionism. I might kind of botch this a little bit, but they basically said they took 2 classes of people and they told one class, it was like pottery. You need to make the perfect pot. And you make 1 pot for the whole semester. And they told the other class, make as many pots as you can possibly make.
Yeah.
And what they found was the people that made a bunch of pots, they ended up making a better pot.
Like by
their
the
best
end?
pot was better than the perfectionists that tried to make the best pot.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show that there's like merit in trying things, making mistakes. When you're trying to make the perfect pot, like you're only going to come across so many mistakes. But when you make 100 pots, you're going to start to learn things that work, things that don't. And I think it's like a really cool kind of study to show
I
that.
would love to like read more about that. We say a lot in our classes like perfection is a form of procrastination. So often we try to like I'll start when, or I hear all the time, like a lot of people talk to me like they're so excited about starting this method or doing this, but they want to lose weight first. And while I can understand that somebody maybe wants to start a new habit feeling like their best self, part of the thing that sometimes I just want to scream is like start now.
Just start,
and the weight will come, like all of that will be secondary to how good you'll feel and how inspired, and it'll just make it that much more easier to show up for yourself instead of like having this goal to complete first to then start the thing that will get you to your goal.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Perfectionism is scary, and so many of us are ingrained with it. I don't know if it's our school system. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's...
People are, like, afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, demonized, like, failure.
Demonized, yes.
Yeah.
We say all the time that, like, there's no such thing as failure, just data. And I have to, like, remind myself that every day. Like, I need that tattooed on my head, like, backwards so I can read it in the mirror.
Yeah, it really is true. Plus, like, no one's trained, like you said, like our school system isn't training us to be business owners. They're training us to work for someone else. So no one knows how to be the perfect business owner or how to be a business owner naturally. So it's like something you have to figure out. Like before, when you were working for, you know, other studios, like you were going in, you were teaching a class and, you know, you were going home, but there's so many other aspects to a business. Like you have to cultivate like a culture that like wasn't there before, and you have to make that. You have to like bring energy, you have to hire people, you have to do the finances, you have like there's so much that goes into being a business owner that's not just what you started off doing, which was teaching classes and fitness. So like there's a lot of learning and growing that goes into it that people don't always see behind the scenes. They just see like the finished polished product and they're like, wow, like look what she's doing kind of thing.
Absolutely. So you met Courtney, she's our manager, and kind of when we were doing like our concept meetings prior to opening, we always, and like this is still our motto, like we don't sell fitness, we sell customer service. And that's like ingrained in us. So like you don't clean up your mats, we clean them up. You have a question, of course I have time. All of these things are so important to me. That's because really nice. Like you're coming to a space and you're going to be vulnerable. You need to feel supported across the board. Everybody can do a squat, right? Like when you think about like why would someone come to you versus another gym, and not everybody's going to hold your hand, not everybody's going to explain it to you, not everybody cares if you're safe. That's huge in the industry. I've noticed a lot of people just like want to do the thing that looks cool or use the fancy buzzwords, which I get, and I also get like starstruck for those things as well. But safety is like our utmost. I mean, it's literally in our name. Like it's why we're low impact only. But when you create that business, that's exactly it. Like there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah. And this is like honestly such an incredible I just like hearing how you talk about like your version of fitness, because everyone's version is so different.
Yeah.
But I feel like recently I've seen so many people, especially women, coming back to low impact. Like there, everyone's different. Like lifting weights is great and all of that. But just being a woman, there's a lot of hormones involved. And when, you're lifting weights constantly and stressing your body out, I don't know if that's like necessarily good for everyone. So it's so nice to be able to mix in like those low impact workouts that like really just do something different for your body. Like it's such a different feeling than going to the gym and being in that setting and lifting weights, at least for me personally.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I always say, I get asked, like, I definitely feel like I have like a top 10, like Billboard's top 10 questions that I'm always asked. Like, and one of those is like, what's the best workout?
Yeah.
And frankly, like the best workout is the workout you're going to do. If you love something, that's what you have to follow that, because you're going to, one, want to do it, which means you're going to do it. And two, and this is the kicker, you're going to spend time learning and trying to grow at it. And that's where I really think that, like, when you want to talk about those tangible results, it's not always just in the body, it's also in the mind. And we want to make sure that, like, neurologically speaking, we're also growing, creating those new neural pathways. That's part of like the longevity aspect of exercise, along with like other things in terms of like oxygenated blood, et cetera, lymphatic drainage. But really, like, those neural pathways are going to be what's going to carry you through into your older ages. And so definitely finding what you love is important. But after that, recognizing that just because something's low impact doesn't mean it's easy. Low impact and low intensity are two different things. And then when you talk about like lifting weights, we do lift weights here. It just happens to be our body weight. And now I would never be so naive as to ask someone how much they weigh recorded, on a podcast, but that's a lot of weight. Like, even my young daughter, Gracie, like, that's 15 pounds right there. Like, that's a lot of weight. And that's the functional fitness aspect that, like, we forget. Like, there was, when my grandmother was still alive, I was speaking to her doctors, and she had fallen, and the doctors kind of had said, like, if she could have picked herself up, we would be having a different conversation. And that connection to being able to lift your own body weight has real life long-term effects.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Is so true. Yeah, it really is.
Even just so to think about it, like, if you fell and were able to go get yourself help, whether that means you crawled, whether that means you like scooted, whatever that means for you, that's that response time. That's, getting into a better position where you could prop up your leg or whatever it is. And all of those things add up. So when we look at low impact exercise, I like to tell people, like, impact is cumulative, but it's not just the impact on your joints, it's the functional fitness aspect as well.
Yeah. I heard recently, I don't know if we were listening to it together, but they said the majority of like elderly people who like hurt themselves while just like daily like stuff, not to go on a tangent here about the elderly, but like they don't fall going up the stairs like using their muscles, they fall going down because they can't stop themselves, like their own body weight, like from falling. So it's like that functional aspect of exercise and building that into your routine to like create longevity is so important.
And you said the key word, like the key word is longevity for us. It's not so much anti-aging. When I had first started my business, I'm like a skincare girly. I'm very into like the skincare, the brands. You too?
That. Yeah. Sorry now though, I'm breaking out really bad. Usually
that's glistening. Skincare. I mean, like skin is a ride, skin's a journey. And it's something that like was really important to me when I was like crafting. Okay, let's take it back. Part of creating Margo's, when I had said like, do I really want to make a studio? Was the fact that like I didn't have a workout, I didn't have a home that I wanted to go to. And for me, that was like, well, then if it's not existing and it's not here, then we need to like make it.
Yeah.
And so being that skincare girly, I wanted a place that like, I don't know if you saw our Glow Bar, like we have different products that like you can try and you can like, I don't want to say taste because none of them are edible. But you can like,
Experience.
use. And like
Yeah.
one of our things is like sunscreen. We have these beautiful windows, which is so important for your hormonal health to be working out in natural light. And then we also turn the lights to like colors at night so that it's not like harsh.
Cool.
But that way, like that's also good for your circadian rhythm, your melatonin production.
Do you do like red lights in
The
here?
red lights.
Oh, red lights. So red is for sculpt, blue is for the cool downs. Then we do the pink for our step aerobics. Orange is for our sweat hit class. And then, wait, there's one more class. And then for our stretch class, it's the blues.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And it like sets a vibe and like everybody looks good in like red light when they're like toning their booty. Like you're just like, okay. But so our thing is like SPF and like we're very specific. We love Hailey Bieber's favorite SPF, which is the Elta MD.
Ooh, I
so
love
like
Ulta MD, yeah.
you like it too?
That's what I use.
Do you like their cleanser?
I've never tried it. It's good?
So good. It's an
okay.
enzyme cleanser, so it's going to give you that like exfoliation, gentle
Okay.
exfoliation. It's a little on the pricey side, but a lot goes a long way. So you'll like foam it, rub it, and it's delicious.
All right.
One time I had some new friends. Do you know like when you make friends as like a grown up?
Yeah.
It's like
tough.
a hit or miss.
Yeah.
So tough. So tough.
Yeah.
And so I had this girl, she came over, we like went out to dinner and then like I was like, oh, come back to the apartment. She went to my bathroom and used the Elta MD and like I put two and two together afterwards. She came out of my bathroom. She was like, I loved your hand soap. It was so foamy.
No.
And I was like, I don't have a foamy hand soap. And then like the next morning I'm like washing my face and I'm foaming and I'm like loving this and I'm like, that bitch.
That was probably like $10 worth of
Yeah, no. It's
face
so
wash.
good. No, we take our skincare so seriously. So, like, we have the sunscreen here. It's like, use it. We want you to get yourself a window seat. Don't be afraid of the sun. Also, it's like filtered through the window. So it's not so scary as like being in direct sunlight. But like, it's all about like the whole method is just taking care of yourself full form. With boundaries, with advocacy, like self-advocacy, with cushioning for your soft joints, with lymphatic drainage, like all of these things come into it. And so many fitness arenas only think about one aspect, and that's fine. They're only doing their one thing. That's totally fine. But like, I wanted something that just did more.
Your like whole strategy is accumulation of so many different things. It sounds like. Did you gather all this knowledge just from doing classes, or do you do like a lot of personal research?
I'm like, what do you mean?
Like when you like, as far as your fitness knowledge, like do you do a lot of like reading and podcasts and stuff, or did you learn all this from kind of working in classes?
So something about research is like, it's me search. So part of it is like, you have to be forever the student, you know what I mean? Like always working, always learning. But then that professional development aspect, like I feel like the biggest thing I can say to anybody who wants to like do something and share it with other people is the answer is never, I don't know. It's always, I'll find out. And so from over a decade now of saying, I'll find out, has really, and like I also like being a teacher, you also like are kind of like naturally like a very curious student. So for years of saying I'll find out, I finally was like, I found out. And it's not that I know everything, because I am so knowledgeable enough to say that I don't know everything, and I'll never know everything. And there's so much like the studies that I'm reading now, like the exercise science and the journals that are being published now about like what is going on in the body and with how it affects hormones and how it affects your fertility and how it affects your skin and all of these things. It's just coming out now, but Jane Fonda was like doing her thing in the 80s. Like we have so much knowledge and so little knowledge at the same time. And I think it's just being dedicated enough to say like, like we continue to grow together.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You have to like what you're doing, you know, like you have to like want to learn about it if you're going to
Definitely.
share it.
Yeah. I'm so curious. I want to know more about your classes. Like,
Yeah.
talk about like some of your favorites. I'm sure they're all your
Oh, my
favorites.
goodness.
They all
Okay,
do
yeah.
something different. I want to know
So-
like more about like what exactly someone would experience in a class. Like, what are the movements like? Are they
Yeah.
similar to like any other types
Yeah.
of workouts or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like barrier to entry, people like don't know what we're talking about or like don't know what we're doing. So I think for the most part, like the most common thing I get is like, oh, it's like Pilates.
Okay.
And it is similar. Like, so the sculpt class I would say is similar to like a Pilates mat class.
Okay.
The thing about like Pilates is having like a resurgence, and that's so fun to see. So like you get all these like Pilates princesses, right?
Yeah.
So there's like classical Pilates, and then there's contemporary Pilates.
Oh.
And this classical is like based on like an actual regimented movement and
Okay.
kind of routine that you do. Whereas this contemporary Pilates is like, I honestly, if I like look at it and I see what people are doing like on Instagram or like with their brands, it's very much similar to like a bar Pilates fusion of like
Okay.
these small intricate movements, maybe in releve, kind of keeping people feeling that like thermogenesis, that like that burning sensation, keeping them there for like a while.
Okay.
So I would say that like if that's kind of like what you know, then that's most similar to our sculpt class.
Okay.
Our sculpt class does a lot of mat. It's all mat work. It's all body weight.
Okay.
It's our signature class. So like every single class is full body,
Okay.
but that includes neuro work and pelvic floor health. So everywhere that I've worked, a lot of people say like, oh, we're full body, our workout is full body. They just mean abs, ass, and arms. Like that, like that's where they're at. And it's going to be a good workout. But once again, kind of going back to this idea of like I wanted something more, we decided that we really needed to focus on the core in its full embodiment, not just the front plate, that rectus abdominis. And we also needed to really focus on your neuro health as well. Because neurodegenerative diseases are on the rise. So that's a huge thing, especially because most of them are connected not to your genetics, but to your diet and your exercise.
Really?
So our sculpt class is a lot of combinations. You're going to be we call it like a rabbit, similar if you've ever like run cross country, there's like a rabbit that you follow.
Yeah.
So I'll say like, I'm your rabbit and you kind of follow me. And we work through the full body all the way down to a cool down, which also includes kind of tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. I'll do breathing exercises, mindfulness, meditation techniques, all of those good things to kind of really allow you to keep your work here and to give you that boundary to enter into the rest of your day.
Wow.
So we're doing a ton of that on the mat, which the qualitative results are just like endless. So that's our sculpt class. If that gave you a good picture, you tell
Definitely,
me.
yeah.
Yes? Okay. Then we have our step aerobics class, which is literally like 80s dance party. It's a dance party on the board. Step aerobics hasn't changed much in terms of like what we're doing. Just the vibe has changed. Like we're very into like feeling yourself and feeling confident. There's nothing like nailing a routine. It feels so good. So the way we do our step aerobics is we have 3 combinations that you learn, and then at the end of the class we put it all together.
Oh, cool.
So you're kind of like learning throughout, and then it's like a full out like recital almost.
That's so fun.
And then the other half is sculpt. So that's a lot of fun. And we do the same combination. It works out to be the whole month. So the same 3 combos, we start at the top of the month and we travel all the way through. So then that way, and this is huge, and this is like part of my background in education, I really want people to feel like they're learning something. So you want to be able to notice like, hey, I wasn't able to do that earlier and now I can. Or I didn't know what that move was, or that move like messed me up mentally. And like now like, oh, I got it, no problem. because that's how you like actually build confidence, you know, like so many people think like, oh, confidence is just like a great pair of fitting jeans, you know, and like it's true, like that always feels good and can boost confidence, but like confidence is self-trust. Our stretch class is a mobility flexibility class. We're traveling through dynamic and static stretches. Sometimes we use the resistance bands.
Nice.
We start with the lymphatic drainage, like a manual lymphatic drainage. So I kind of teach you how to rub yourself and touch yourself at those like lymph nodes and those drainage points before we start the class. And then that way we kind of like clear the pathways, and you're able to really feel some amazing results by the end. And then our sweat class is our HIIT style class.
Oh, cool.
So you're traveling through different HIIT challenges like 30 seconds or ladders or like different things like that, and you're fusing that with sculpting. So you're getting your heart rate up and you're bringing it back down, up and down.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I have never, I mean, I follow, you know, a handful of people like in this area and just like all over, I guess. And I've never seen someone take like a comprehensive approach like that. Like I'm very into like health and stuff, and I feel like I've never met an instructor or just like heard of a class that like uses fitness but also is focusing on like so many other aspects of your body. So it's like so amazing to hear that like you like brought this to fitness. Like
You're making my head so big right now.
no, it really I really do mean it. Seriously.
I know, I really appreciate that. It's such a big idea, and it's hard to like keep track. And like maybe that's why my business plan took me 5 years. I don't know. Now I'm really nervous. I'm like, whoa. Is that? No, it's such a big idea, and there's so much more to like. Like we've just only scratched the surface. Like my plans for expansion are actually like bonkers when I think about it. Like we're talking about like taking some really big giants like on and like trying to be basically just like, I would say like a unicorn in this industry. We start small. We start here.
Course,
like we start right here, right now with, you know, our little town of Freehold and our small community. But like, that's what it's about. It's about finding people who like, every single person that is like a part of our club has said to me at one point or another, like, I needed this. And if it all was taken away tomorrow, I think that's the whole point, you know? And so, yes, I have like this vision of where we want to go, but it's also okay where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting too. Like, I think, at least the way I see it, like now that I'm growing up a little bit, like when I was younger, like going to the gym meant like I can look better, and now like more girls will notice me, and that's what's like
and
so
they will.
important. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And like I think growing up and kind of learning more, like we're really into Peter Attia, and he talks a lot about.
So I'm so happy you brought that up. That's like Outlive is like one of my Bibles.
I never read it, but I listened to like a bunch of podcasts where he talks about it.
Yeah. So when he was like on his tour.
Yeah, last summer I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's one with is it Rick Roll? Did you listen to that one?
I listened to Chris Williamson and then a couple other ones.
Yeah, I mean, he did the whole circuit.
Yeah.
But if you're into like that kind of thought process,
Okay.
I think it might be Rich. Now I'm getting nervous. Rick or Rich? Rick Roll, I think it is.
Yeah.
He has a really great podcast. Okay. And Peter Attia was on that, and I had listened to that one. And that was right. It was last year, and it was kind of like right when we kind of. This is so funny. I literally remember painting our private training room, listening to this podcast.
Really?
Yeah, and it's actually on the shelf if you want to flip through it.
Okay.
I have like all my Bibles out there in case anybody like wants to look or has a question.
Nice.
When I was working with my doula, so last year when we were opening, I was also pregnant.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, God's timing for sure. God's timing. Like, wait, took 5 years to write a business plan. Like, did not think about birth control.
You didn't put the baby on there.
But literally painting. No, now it's Rich. It's Rich Roll for sure. Painting the private training room, listening to this podcast, and being like, this is it. Like, because like I'm not a doctor. I don't have a medical background. So like part of it is me thinking like, wait, like kind of putting the puzzle pieces together and then having to like double check and almost like I have a thesis, or I have a hypothesis. And then I'm trying to find the research, not to prove it right, but to almost like prove it wrong, you know, because this idea is not allowed really. Like when you think about it, this is going up against like the pharmaceutical companies and like going into like saying like, wait a minute, you don't need a knee replacement at 40 years old. Like it's going against everything we're taught. Even just the simple fact of like, we do something called All Lanes Activated. And throughout the week, I teach you this combination for your glute series. And it's like a series of movements, and I teach you, so we try to be extremely accessible here. It's called lanes. So there's lane 1, which is like the base movement. Lane 2, we add on. Lane 3, we add on. Lane 4. By the end of the week, if you've been coming to class during the weekend, you have all the tools needed to hit the ground running and do the whole combination.
Wow.
Yeah, but like, I don't know where I was going with this. Anyway, Peter Attia.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
really
we'll
cool.
circle back. You'll edit. It'll get fixed in post.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you were just telling me reminds me a lot of like the whole the Wim Hof story, where basically he had like disputed science, which I feel I don't know like a lot about science. I've never heard this done before, but basically the premise that I understand is that there was a science and all these studies about the human body can't withstand, you know, X temperatures for, you know, a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
He went and disputed it, and basically all these people said, well, you're just one person, you're an anomaly. These are studies done on it. And so what he did was to show that he wasn't supernatural, he started teaching people how to do it. And he took people up some swaths, and he literally was changing science because...
So he's amazing. Do you know a lot about him?
Not too much, but...
I believe his wife passed away.
Okay.
And he was in a deep depressive state, and that's why he had started that.
Really?
Wow.
And like that's what drove him to that. And Goop does a really good... Did you ever watch the Goop series on Netflix?
No.
I follow along a little bit.
Of course you do. Yeah, because you're a skincare girl, and we have like calling cards. When we were like thinking about girl names for our baby, I was like, Gwyneth. It's Gwyneth. It's Gwyneth. I would tell people, and they'd like give me like, oh, Gwyneth, really? And so here's my tip of advice for anybody who's pregnant or just in general. Don't tell people shit, because they're going to say things to you and it's going to get in your head. And F that. Like if you have a song in your heart, sing it. And if you like the name Gwyneth, don't change it to Gracie. But she's a Gracie. She's my Gracie girl.
You want to know something funny?
Yes.
Ever since I was young, I've always, if I've ever had a girl, I've always wanted to name it Margo.
No way.
I love the name Margo.
Isn't it a beautiful name?
I love it.
Yeah.
Something about it I just really like. Even just like
Would
full
you
name Margaret.
spell it this way? M-A-R-G-O?
Yep. I've seen it spelled with a T at the end, but I love
Yeah, that's
just
very
the
French.
O. Yeah.
And the X.
Yeah. Oh, really?
M-A-R-G-E-U-X.
Oh.
Margo's like my alter ego. Like my husband, when we were dating, he would call me Margo. So like when we were coming up with names, like I went through so many names. It's so hard.
Yeah.
It's not like naming a dog. You're like, like,
You know,
like
it's hard
this
to
is
name a
legit.
business.
Yeah, it's hard to name a business.
Did you consider like Margo Jr.?
Margo the second. Yeah. And so finally he was like, just call it Margo's. It's Margo's. I'm like, yeah. But so Wim Hof has an episode on Goop.
Okay.
And he kind of goes a little bit more into like everything.
Okay.
But that's so interesting, just in general, like the idea of like cold plunging and like the breathing technique, all of it. And that's what we need. We need, in this industry specifically, we need people saying like, I'm not so sure. Like, wait a minute, let me try it a different way. Because otherwise we're just going to continue the same patterns of behavior that are letting us believe that like weight is connected to health. That's not true. That like higher impact, higher intensity means deeper, faster, more genuine results, not true. Like all of these things we've been led to believe are like half truths or flat out lies.
So true.
And
it's good
scary.
to always question. Like you should just question everything because you don't know what kind of results you'll get or answers you'll get. Just always be open to something new or change and not just be like stuck. Like this is the only way. This is what someone told me. It's like just question everything. It's like
anytime I've ever made a mistake or fell on my face or made the wrong choice, like anytime I've ever done something like that, it's because I directly was in opposition to my intuition every single time. And that's not to discredit those, like you need to learn those mistakes. But I will just say like, it's so important to not only connect and listen, but to strengthen that little voice inside you. You won't always be right, but if your intuition told you, or if you had that feeling, you did it the way you were supposed to do it. So the lessons that ensue are your lessons. That's your path.
So true. I love asking people like this, and I feel like you're the perfect person to ask. What is your like morning routine, or just like what does your day look like? Because I just love like little health things. Like I do my face roller in the morning, like just those little things. I just like knowing. I want to up my game with that.
No, absolutely. So you do ice roll? Is that what you're saying?
I do. I ice roll. I have the Skinny Confidential ice
that
roller.
one's so good.
It's so
I
good.
don't have that one, but it's very cold.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She's like one of my personal heroes.
Yes.
Awesome. Skinny Confidential and Lauren specifically, I like look to her as just like my North Star.
Yeah.
I have other North Stars. Is that an oxymoron?
Yeah.
There are other stars in my constellation, but she's one of them. Like I'm a part of her broadcast group.
Cool.
I love Lauren and everything she stands for and like what she's about. And part of like what I've built is in hopes that like she likes it. Like I'm kind of like, she's my ideal client and like that's who I want to attract. Because I feel like she's somebody who also like is interested in learning things and growing and like, and always putting like hormone health first. And so definitely very excited that you have the Skinny Confidential. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But so my morning routine, my morning is a shit show.
First real morning routine.
Yeah, no. We are so funny. Like
you don't wake up with your lemon water. And
so if there is one thing I've taught people, like please let it be drink water with lemon first. Like yes, okay, guilty. You caught me. But no, my morning is a wackadoo. And ever since having a baby. Like we're me and my husband are like trying to figure it out. So I'm lucky if like I get up and I look semi quasi presentable. Part of like the morning routine is the night routine.
Okay.
And I think it's really easy like during your day to like your day takes over and then at night you kind of self-sabotage and you're like, one more episode of TV. Like, you're like, I've seen this episode a million times, but like, I just want to, and like, it's actually like scientifically proven that you're just trying to exert some control over your schedules. Like all of us are so wound so tight and so overloaded and so busy. But I just feel like I try to eat like before we go to bed at least 2 to 3 hours in advance. Always washing my face at night. Moisturizer is essential. I just was able to add back in my retinol.
Nice. Oh yeah,
because I was breastfeeding. So like that's been really exciting for me. And then like trying really hard to like, you got to turn off the phone. Really, truly, blue light is the devil. So doing that, getting into bed, cozy pair of PJs, like making your bed and your bedroom as luxurious and as like inviting as possible is key. The temperature is 68 and the room is dark. Take the TV out of the bedroom, take it out. The bedroom is reserved for 2 things, sleeping and sex. That's it. That's it. Everything else has to be done elsewhere. But so like, with a baby, then trying to like figure that all out. We just got our nighttime routine back. So I'm hoping for my ideal morning routine, which is waking up, hot water with lemon, Something that I definitely do is I like to do legs up the wall and
nice.
red light therapy. So I use my Dr. Dennis
Ooh.
Gross face mask.
Oh, cool.
And you want to get that red light therapy and that blue light therapy for bacteria, acne, all of that. Skincare, if you're doing that. I try to keep it really simple, especially coming to the gym. Sorry, not the gym. Edit that out. It's not the gym. Especially coming to the club. So the Elta MD cleanser and then the La Roche-Posay. Moisturizer, Elta MD sunscreen. Your hair. So important, your hair. We use something very specific here. It's called our Drench Hair Oil Mask.
Ooh.
It's my baby. It's my brainchild. And it's a mixture of oils that work with your heating scalp. So it's a pre-workout hair mask. And you put it in, you work out, you're going to shower after the gym or the club anyway. So it's restorative, it adds shine, it adds moisture, all of those things. And then you're going to put your hair in a protective hairstyle. So that is not a bun. You can do a claw clip, a braid, all of that. If you have to do a bun, do it with a claw clip. Yeah, you want to protect your ends. Quickly get dressed, running out the door. My husband stands at the door with the baby and a carafe full of hot, steaming black coffee, and I'm on the road.
Very cool.
That's amazing.
She's been trying to get us to get a little bit of rosemary oil for the hair.
I want to do his hair that way he doesn't go bald. Like,
Are you going bald?
No, he's not.
Oh,
but I want to prevent it.
So just this is preventative.
I want to like put the oil and like stimulate.
Yeah. So I made this Drench hair oil mask because I was losing my hair postpartum. So it has that rosemary extract in it as well. It's like to nourish and to support growth. But I'm really excited. Definitely check back in with me after you do like a rosemary wash.
Yeah.
Do you like the smell of rosemary?
I don't know if he's ever smelt it.
Yeah, my dad cooks with it.
Yeah, I like the taste.
Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan. It's not the taste, I don't think.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm associating with the just its existence. Like
you have
like
a vendetta against rosemary.
Yeah, I do. They're like these little like pine needles, and they're in like you put them in like London broil and stuff, and it's just like.
So you don't like dried rosemary?
I guess.
It's too hard, and the texture is that it.
He does put it in. He puts a thing of it in olive oil. That's it.
And he like infuses it.
Yeah,
I gotta
he just
meet
like
your
lets
dad.
it sit in there, and it's
I want to hang out with your dad.
He's a great cook.
Yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
When am I coming over?
Oh my god!
You think I'm kidding?
This is funny.
Yeah. So I like the smell though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Is my head gonna smell like rosemary if I
think it's a little medicinal. So I mix it with some vanilla, and it's kind of like really yummy and warming, and it's kind of sexy, but it doesn't compete with like anything else you might have on your body.
Okay.
I've been looking for something to like mask my hair in and then just like work out.
Yeah.
But I'm nervous like with skin. Like, do you feel like it's gonna like affect like, I don't know. I know it's up here, but like when you sweat and stuff, you know. Nervous, like it's gonna clog.
Yeah,
and we could be doing this off air also. We're really just we're diving in.
Going in. So I definitely think that like that's a valid concern. I have not heard that feedback.
Okay.
I also haven't experienced it.
Okay.
It's light oil, so it's not heavy, and you're really palming it on the ends and then maybe raking through what's left.
We're not like soaking.
You're not soaking.
Okay. I'm thinking
it's
of like castor
drench.
oil.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not.
Like how thick
I do use castor oil. Castor oil is amazing. Have you heard of castor oil?
Yeah, like packs.
The packs.
Put it on the thing.
So that's what I use. I had a C-section. That's what I use for my C-section incision.
Really?
And it's very helpful in terms of scar, in terms of rejuvenating that area and like helping my pelvic floor. Yeah.
Interesting.
But we'll talk more about drench in a second.
Yeah. So I guess where did we even leave off?
I know. I feel like we like.
no idea.
I feel like
you have like seven. You have 7 episodes in this.
I kind of want to touch on like your branding because I think you have an insane Instagram page. I don't know if you're doing it yourself or you have someone
that
you have.
I need to record this and then just play that forever. Instagram gives me agita.
gives us autism too, for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you mean by that? Because you said that and I was like, what?
Just the aesthetic of your page, everything about the branding of just your studio and everything, like there's a very specific vibe, and it's very consistent throughout, like just all of your posts and all of that. I don't know, there's something about it that's very clean but also welcoming and very modern. I feel like those would be the buzzwords that I would like describe it as. But just when I remember, I don't even know how we got connected, honestly. I feel like I just stumbled on your page. I don't know.
Vice versa. Yeah. So I saw you guys, and like, I think I'm big on the story reactions. I started doing story reactions like before it was a way to like get engagement. I just like rando people, like they'll like post a picture of like their mom on her like postmortem birthday, and I'll like Instagram and I'll like message and be like, God bless your angel. Like, and then like I get really in my head about it, because then I'm like, wait, like they don't know me, like, like I don't know, like then I'm sending the hard eyes. Like my clients, there's one in particular, I just somehow like always end up sending her like the fire emoji. It's Sophia. Hi, Sophia. Like I'm always like, she's always posting selfies, and I'm like, hot fire. I'm like, hard eyes emoji. I'm like, she might think I'm like coming on to her. Like, damn, like her game is so good though. So like good for her. But like I'm always sending her those reactions. So I think I sent you one, and then you had messaged me back, and you were like, I love your branding's insane, or something like that. And I'm like, I was starstruck. I like texted my husband. I'm like, my branding's insane. Because Instagram really gives me agita, and it's something that like I don't have down. I'm not gonna have down. And the second I do have it down, they're gonna change it again.
Yeah.
I'm trying really hard to curate a space on the internet that feels the same way that this space in real life does. We're very specific about how it looks. We're very specific about what you wear, about what you are putting on your skin, about putting on your body. And I think the same thing, like Instagram and social media can be such a soul sucker that like if we can create like a little bit of positivity that makes you feel good about what you're doing and where you're going, like why wouldn't we want to?
Yeah.
Part of that once again is just like I want to make a thing that I'm excited about, because like then why am I here? Like if I'm not excited about it, then like
it's so true. How has it like helped your business or impacted your business? How are people finding you currently?
Yeah.
Are people searching for something like this and you're coming up? Like, or like how has it grown your business?
Yes. So Instagram, I don't really have the quantitative data yet. We're still so new. We haven't even been opened a year. So I feel like those metrics are slowly rolling in.
Yeah.
I would say that actually like the main way we gain clients is through word of mouth.
Very nice.
It's written into my business plan. It's always been my philosophy that I needed to make a place and a workout and an experience that people would want to share, because if they don't, then
it's not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. So word of mouth has always been like our main push and our main focus. All the clients we have, I can track back to one person. And I like thank God every day for that single person. And I think that Instagram for us and our social media accounts, and like I'm gonna rack your brain on TikTok because I'm too old, so I don't really understand it. It's just a video. Like what? I think that our Instagram for us, the way we use it, and every single business will use social media differently, and that's important. You need to know how you're using it. But for us, it needs to be a representation of what we do here, because that's going to make you feel comfortable enough to take the risk. It's really hard to go to a new place. It's really hard to try something new. It actually takes an immense amount of courage and bravery to walk in and say like, hi, I'm new here. So if we can give you if we can take down those barriers, you know what it looks like, you know where you're going to park, you know who's going to greet you at the front desk, you know what you're going to be doing, you know what we're going to be listening to. Once you have all of that anticipatory stress answered, then you might feel a little bit more comfortable to say like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
So true. And I think your page really does do that. It's very welcoming. It's refreshing. I feel like there's a lot of cookie cutter on social media, and
that doesn't work. I
Yeah.
tried.
Canva,
I tried
yeah.
to do the Canva thing. I tried to do the templates thing. The templates like really do help, like in terms of structuring a video
Yeah.
or
Some
like
of
to
them are good,
music.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like you have to know what you're saying. Like if it's just like a 2-second video with a lot of text, so that like I'm sure people who don't follow this and who aren't doing this for work, it's going to go over their head. But for the entrepreneurs or like the people who are running those social media pages, if you know what I'm talking about here, it works maybe once, maybe twice. It's a one-trick pony, and that's fine. But you really need substance, and there's no excuse, and there's no shortcut. It's all hard work, and it's all just knowing what you want to say and how you want to say it. And if it doesn't work the first time, take it down, try again, or just leave it up. Try like, but the gimmicks don't work. There's no shortcut.
It's so true. It's very true. So we want to do some rapid fire questions. We did not send these to you.
Okay.
They're just fun. So
See,
whatever.
this is what I was nervous about.
I promise
Sweating.
they're light.
Okay.
They're light.
Okay.
And whatever comes to mind, you can just
Okay.
say. All right. So the first one is.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this like word association, or is this like would you rather? Like
It's a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like looking at JT to like be my like buddy here. I'm
Yeah, I
like,
can't help
wait,
you.
help me. What's my
Yeah,
hint?
you're
Phone a friend.
So if you had a blank check, what would you do with the money? Starting off kind of heavy.
Wow, that's so hard. Oh my goodness. Wow. Tell my husband.
And let him figure it out.
No, yeah. Honestly, okay. Real talk, it would sit on my counter because I would be like, there's so much I can do. What I'm not doing like the private jet, the yacht, that.
Okay.
But maybe like pay off our house. Like, I don't know, something that would really make life easier.
That is a great answer. What is your most popular class?
Sculpt. Without a doubt, sculpt.
Very cool.
And step is like a really close second because I think there's like nothing like it.
Okay.
What does success mean to you?
Oh my gosh, going home to my daughter and just like, and you know what? I'll know I made it when I don't have to miss bedtime. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Go to athletic wear brand.
Oh, right now I have, let's see. So right now I'm like really vibing on Emma Lou.
Okay.
They just released like a cherry set that is like in my cart, but I have a ton of Lululemon in my car that I have to return.
Favorite book or podcast?
So I think we touched a little bit about this. See, now I'm going to sound like a poser because I'm so in my head about his name. But so he's my favorite podcast. Let me literally look it up so that I don't sound like a doofus.
I feel like we consume so much information, and
It's
sometimes
rich.
I can't remember like certain people's names, and I'm like, I listened to their podcast.
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah,
even
it's
know
Rich
their
Roll.
name.
It's Rich.
Rich Roll.
Rich
Yeah.
Roll, okay.
Because
Okay.
Rick Roll is like never gonna give it. But like, to be fair, very similar.
What
It
kind of
is very
podcast
close.
is that? Is it like a business type thing? Or
No,
more
it's all
health?
about like I don't want to call it biohacking because like
Gotcha.
I think it's so much more than that. But it's like a deep dive. So like you'll see like my most recent
Okay.
I always revert back to this episode.
Oh, okay.
The
Yeah.
Unlocking the Science of Longevity with Peter Attia, Dr. Peter Attia, sorry. Who like, once again, that episode, like, I think that his vulnerability, his story, everything that like he goes into sharing, like not only makes me respect him as a professional, but also like as a person. You joked like when I was talking about like my morning routine and you were like, finally a real one. And I think that like, there's so much smoke and mirrors in the world. Like, for what? Like, who cares? Like we all, you know, put our pants on one leg at a time. But so, yeah, that podcast is one that I like find myself always going back to. And then Outlive is, like I said, one of my like cornerstones, and then Hormone Intelligence is another cornerstone of mine that really, both of those books really helped me hone in on like the science that we do here. And then there's a little video called Just Give Them the Pickle. Have you saw this?
No.
Oh,
No.
it's really cute. It's this elderly man, and he's talking about how he owned an ice cream shop, I think. And somebody asks for like a second pickle, and the owner's like, I have to charge it to you, or I have to charge you for it. And it's really cute. In this little YouTube video, he's like, just give them the pickle. Because like it doesn't affect your bottom line.
Yeah.
Like when I look at like what we put out for our glow bar, like the amount of joy that brings people versus my bottom line, like that $20 a month, $240 a year, like does not make or break. Like that's not why I can't pay my rent. You know what I mean? And so like just giving people the pickle is like the vibe. So
love
two,
that.
those three.
I feel like that's happening less and less these days.
And that's why it's so
like-
important to do it. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Customer service is like my jam. I totally agree with you. It's something that happens less and less. Big purchases even. Like I just got a new car and like just the professionalism that like sometimes is lacking. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to be a customer. Like I'm going to give you money. Don't you want me to feel good about like being a part? Like don't you want me to share you with people?
Yeah.
Don't you want me to say like every single time I get in my car like I love this. Like this was worth it. Oh, I'm going to do this again. I can't wait to go back to that person. And for some reason I think that like they're wheeling and deal. Like I don't know what
A
it
little
is.
transactional. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Not me.
Yeah. If you had to eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pickles. I love pickles. That's probably why I like that
Pickles are
video.
great.
Yeah. Half sour pickles from the Pickle Girl over at Collingswood Auction. Have you guys ever been?
No.
So you have to do like a spin-off where it's just you two and like do a date at Collingswood Auction over like on, I think it's 34.
It's in
Okay.
Freehold.
It's like on the outskirts of Freehold. I think it's
Okay.
Collingswood.
Okay.
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Go on a Saturday or a Sunday. And it's like a little flea market. It's so fun. But there's a pickle girl. She does blue cheese olives.
Oh my
If
gosh.
you're not using these olives in your martini, you don't have a good martini.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, okay.
Anything briny. Like I said pickles, but like I'll also settle for oysters.
Ooh.
Casual. Yeah, got to get your zinc in.
What is your most important daily habit?
I don't know if this counts. I think praying. My husband and I pray before every meal, and it's something that like sometimes I like try to rush through, or like I'll like be scrolling at like as we start to pray. Like, my husband will be like, "Did you like are you on Instagram while you're praying?" And wherever you are with your relationship with like religion or God, like I think it's so important to take 2 minutes maybe, like is that how long it is? Like it's not that long to just like take a moment and recognize like I have food on my plate, I have loved ones who are safe, I'm working towards this greater good of, you know, so we say we're Catholic, so we do the bless us, O Lord, these I guess for which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord, amen. Then we say God bless the cook and all those who eat this food. And then after 9/11, my family had started saying, God bless the cook, all those who eat this food. May the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. Amen. And so we kind of just like take that moment, recognize there's food on our plate, that we have our safety, our health, our, you know, well-being. And then also like for the people who aren't here with us as you go through life, you know, your families shrink, they grow, and kind of like giving a moment to just like give that to them is super important. And I think that always kind of grounds me. So if I'm scrolling, that doesn't happen after. Then it's away, and then I'm eating, and then we're talking about our day and, you know, doing our thing.
I love that. That's very nice. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, fucking dump him. Dump him.
Oh my gosh, that's super. It's relatable though. What is a hobby you would like to pick up if you had an extra 2 hours a day?
Extra 2 hours. Lucid dreaming. Wow. If I had an extra 2 hours, I don't know that it would go towards a hobby.
Okay.
Probably laundry. like I'm not even at the stage in my life where like 2 hours would give me a hobby. like it might be nice to like peruse Trader Joe's.
Very nice. And the last one is, what is the biggest myth in the fitness industry?
Oh, impact, for sure. That like low impact is easy.
It's not.
Yeah, that it means that it's less than, or that it's not as hard of a workout, or it's not as challenging, or it's not as good. Or I guess like the best way to sum it up is that it's a modification for people who can't. Abilities come in all different shapes and sizes, and that has nothing to do with low impact. Making the choice to go low impact for myself has been one of the single greatest things. And I look to my pregnancy and I look to my postpartum journey, and I'm so grateful that I did this research, that I made that switch prior, because it's allowed me to have a relationship with my hormones and stabilize and know my body. And I think that when we look at fitness and exercise, the myth continues to be pushed, or the narrative continues to be pushed, like no pain, no gain. And I think at the end of the day, pain is always a sign to stop. You should never feel pain. And if you're in pain, something's not right. And we need to practice believing ourselves. When it comes to our body, when it comes to our intuition, when it comes to our movement, when it comes to our health, when it comes to our wellness, when it comes to our relationships, we have to believe ourselves, because the experience that we're experiencing, regardless of whether or not someone believes it to be true, is very real. It is a visceral experience. And I think that when the impact myth bubble gets bursted, is that the correct past tense?
Bursted?
Burst? I think it's burst.
Yeah.
When that bubble gets burst.
Doesn't sound right though.
No, it's weird, right? It's like
Bursted
sounds so much better. When that happens, I think you're going to have a lot of people like have a come to Jesus moment of like, oh, that's why, or like that makes so much sense, or you know. So, yeah.
It's crazy because I probably lift, like I go to the gym and lift probably 4 days a week, and I'll mix in like a mat workout, kicks my ass every time.
Isn't that funny?
I feel so fucking sore the next day, and it's like I'll lift weights like crazy, but then do like body weight exercises, and it wrecks me. Yeah. And it's like, yeah,
it's just a different type of strength, and it's a different type of muscle. And
it is not easy.
No, and once again, like it's not to poo any other type of exercise. Like all can be good and all can be great. And if like you're feeling like doing that marathon, or like you have that energy and you have that drive, and like that's what you want to do, I implore you to do it. Movement is medicine. Like movement needs to be this like, I said it before, so many people come to me and say like, when I feel better, I'll move more. And it's actually the opposite. Like move more to feel better. And so when we start thinking about it like that, I think that low impact, in my like ideal scenario for somebody, if they were coming to me asking me, it's like low impact is the 80%. Like you're moving gently, consistently every day. The other 20 is so that you can play basketball. You can run that marathon. If you're interested in weightlifting, you've always wondered about it and you really like that physique, like why not try to train that way? Maybe you want to play soccer with your kids. It's so enjoyable to me to be able to like sit with Gracie and like hold her, pick her up, crawl around. Like you get into funky positions when you have kids, and like knowing that like I can like get up, or like I'm holding her and I can pick myself up. Like that's the stuff of life. Not feeling like you have to say no, or that you can't, or that you have to sit out because you're not good enough, you're not capable enough, you're not confident enough. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
And so like I'm really excited to hear that you like love your mat workouts. And
I do.
that's cool.
I've really thought about like really just fully just doing those kind of workouts and switching to that, because
it's definitely a different, like, so when you kind of commit to that, when you make that lifestyle switch to like, okay, I'm committing to like a low impact lifestyle, it's really a part of this like anti-inflammatory approach. So many people think that like inflammation is like a muscular response, but it's actually like a hormonal and like internal response, a cellular level response to something going on in your body, or like an outside factor. You're going to see results differently. So you're going to probably sleep better. You're probably going to be less stressed. You're like the weight, and this is something that like we try really hard with our branding. So like give me some feedback on this. I try really hard to not be like a weight loss forward fitness regimen. Weight is a metabolic function of your body, and like that is in response to your hormones and your hormonal balancing. Weight will come, weight will go, weight will fluctuate. If you drink a lot of water, if you're in a different area on your cycle, if you're taking birth control, if you're on steroids, like weight is such a specific thing that every single person experiences, and it's not connected to health. And we have such a fat phobia in our society, and I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to be a part of that. It's something that I abhor and I detest, and it's something I've struggled with that I don't want to like bring into this world. So that being said, you will notice a change in your weight, but it's not going to be the first thing. Weight, I always say, is secondary to the primary effects of like your sleep cycle, your stress levels, your cortisol levels, your confidence. You'll notice like it's so amazing. Like our workout is so different to anything. You'll notice definition. You'll notice tone, like that. It's amazing. But just know that you're going to be looking for these results in a different way. So the barometer is not the same. Apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
Totally. So I guess just as like a final question, do you have like any advice that you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs, or just like something that you want to put out there for people listening that, you know?
There's so much that I would say to somebody who, if you came to me and you were like, I'm going to start a business, like, let's sit, like, first and foremost, like just a blanket statement. I don't care who you are. Always please feel free. Like you can DM me and I will try to help you. I've been so blessed with so many mentors on my journey. You need people to bounce ideas off of. You need people to hold your baby. You need people to hear what you just said and then repeat it back to you in a different way. You need people to check your numbers. I would say the single most thing, like if you boil it all down, I think it all comes back to support. You need a support system. And whether that's people, whether that's using AI, whether that's outsourcing and making sure that you have a house cleaner to, you know, like, okay, like that needs to get done. So who can do that for you? Whether that's church, right? And like your support system is God. Like it's all good. You need it. So nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing is done alone. I would say that's my biggest tip to anybody. And if you're looking for somebody to be supportive to you, I can be your buddy. So always reach out to me if needed.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Address, information about your studio, Instagram, website, like just put it all out there.
Okay. You can find us in studio at 3 West Main Street in downtown Freehold. Please put Freehold Borough, otherwise you'll go to the hospital, and that's been a headache with Google. But yeah, so 3 West Main Street, Freehold Borough. We are on the 3rd floor, nestled above Texas Mexican. So it is a 2-story walk-up. We like to call that your warm-up. You can text us at 732-308-5300. You can also call, but I find that text, everybody loves to text. You can follow us on Instagram at @Margos, Margos, or you can read our blog and check us out on our website at www.my-margos.com. We do all of our booking through MindBody, and we also are a part of ClassPass.
Cool.
So if you use either of those systems, we're on there as well.
Cool. Awesome.
This has been... did I just cut you? Were you going to do that too? Oh, I was just going to say, this has been the highlight of my life. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Of course.
Yeah,
You're
thanks for
very
having us.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
You ask great questions. A huge shout out to you two. Like, you made me feel so
thanks.
comfortable. I am sweating, which is a different kind of sweat than like when you work out. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when you're like your nervous sweat versus like your workout sweat. No, I think we like really like kind of skimmed the surface. Like we did the thing. And if you ever want to deep dive, this was such an enjoyable experience. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Cool.
JT, I am curious. What is your favorite workout? Like, what do you do to stay active?
I lift weights.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I used to play soccer. I played my whole life. And
Do you miss being on like a team?
I do.
I feel like that was so fun. Like
Yeah.
we don't get to do that anymore.
I know, yeah. They actually say like a lot of times with like pro athletes, their whole identity is like being an athlete, growing all the way up, and then you become like a big part of like a team.
Yeah.
And then when they're like they hit their 30s and they retire,
Yeah.
and they kind of like lose themselves because they're so used to like when you go to college and stuff, you kind of like
Fizzle out a little.
yeah, you get that closure of like okay, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna get a real job, but like these people like their whole existence is just like so I definitely feel that. Yeah, I kind of do like recently I've been missing playing soccer.
Yeah.
Kind of have like I go through like moments where I like really want to play for a little bit, and I don't want to play anymore.
We've been getting into pickleball.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
they got us.
And that's kind of
Yeah.
like that's like a team,
Yeah.
It is.
like a team sport a little bit.
It is, yeah.
Now, how do you find people to verse? Do you do teams or do you do one-on-one?
Well, we go as like a couple,
Yeah.
and then they have like
other couples?
other people that show
Yeah.
up, and then you kind of like rotate kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Here's my question. I guess, first and foremost, are you competitive people?
I
I'm
feel like
a little well.
you're definitely competitive.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well, that's part of the reason that I don't like playing soccer sometimes because like I get like when the first time I go play soccer, I'm very like quiet. I won't speak to anyone on the field. But after I get to know people a little bit, then I'm starting to tell people what to do.
Yeah. Are you like are you a lousy loser?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
The only thing
Talking
worse
to
than
us
being a
refs and
sore
stuff.
winner is a lousy loser. we're so I guess let me preface this by saying like we're super competitive here. All of our challenges we like we're grown-ups. Like not everybody has to win a trophy. So like most people do. I'll say it like that. So, for example, we did a raffle where like all month you work to get tickets. But the thing was, even if you got picked to win, you got thrown back in. Because let's like spice it up.
Yeah.
So like this challenge that we're doing right now, it's 50 classes in 50 days. So we end on Memorial Day. We're really excited.
Whoa.
We got some sponsorships from like local and favorite businesses. Actually, one of your clients, Serafina Jewelry.
Yeah.
I found her through you, and I reached out to her because like that's the kind of brand that like our clients they get
she's
excited
great.
about.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's awesome.
She's actually coming tomorrow.
No
That's so
way.
Is she
she's
really?
like, I'm gonna take a class.
Oh my gosh.
But so like an example is like once we get to the final 10 days, I'm taking the board down. So like you don't know who's in the lead. Like
So you have to.
like go for it.
I love
Unless you're opting out. Some people do. Some people are like, you know what? I did my time. But some people are like, no, I want to win this. And we're doing, so everybody gets like a goodie bag from our sponsorships, but then we're doing like first, second, and third prizes. So like there's some incentive there to like really hit the ground running and like do the best you can. And there's
That's
like
so
little
fun.
bonuses kind of like hitting like the stars and like in Mario Kart. So like if you bring a friend, you get like 2 stickers, which is really exciting. So you see like some of the stickers like doubled up. But so we're super competitive here, Courtney and I, so competitive. It's crazy. How do you not like kind of scare the other couples? Like if you're competitive, like, are you like, come on? Like,
Well, we kind of get split up a little bit.
We do get split up, but there was something like us being young and then showing up and everyone is over the age of 50. We're like, oh, we're going to smoke these like old people's asses.
Yeah.
They
I bet that was, I bet you were humbled.
Yeah. Humbled. They came up to me after and they were like, you need to practice more.
They were like, here's my card. I can coach you.
On the verge of tears. Oh my God.
Actually,
so
last
funny.
time we went,
Yeah.
she was like like she's always like happy after we're playing.
Yeah.
And then I was in the car, I just like was not talking, and she could be like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah.
And I told her like a day later, I was like, the last game I played with this guy, and he kept fucking losing his serve. He lost like 8 serves. I was so mad about it.
Yeah.
It was a pickleball game in like the second lowest like tier, but I was just like. So like for a half hour.
No, I've lost friends. Yeah. I've lost friends because I've taken like beer ball too seriously, and they're like, Margaret, like you really hurt his feelings, and I'm like, like did I? Like if I hurt someone's feelings over beer ball, like that's not a conversation for me. That's like that's.
Like his problem.
Oh my God.
Like he was butthurt before we started.
Oh my gosh. Well, I definitely have to come and take a class. I'm very intrigued.
Yay!
I will be leaving with a schedule.
Yes.
And
you are always welcome.
Yeah.
Please come. Please.
Yes, I need to experience this for sure.
Yeah, it's unlike
so
anything
interested.
you've ever experienced, and I take that super seriously. It's such a vibe in this room. And I'm really excited for you because everything you told me, like, I think it might be up your alley.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm very excited. Cool. Awesome.
Yay.
I think this wraps things up, right?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Yeah.
I'm like honored.
We're very excited.
Can't wait to send this to my mom.